DX はもう未来ではない。すでにあなたのそばで始まっている。DX の今を見よう。至るところで加速する DX。 この瞬間も DX が私たちの生活を進化させている。さあ DX の最前線に触れて今すぐ動き出そう。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, thank you for participating in the SoftBank World 2021. I am Natsumi Uga. I will be playing the navigator for today. And this year's SoftBank World commemorates its 10th anniversary. And like last year, it's going to be distributed completely online. And this will be open for 3 days until September 17th. This year's theme is to know the DX of today and you will know the vision for tomorrow. So there are latest information pertinent to DX and also examples which may be an insight from now on, and also solutions that is customized for the industry, and various issues will be introduced, and there are going to be 60 or more partner companies making presentation, and exhibitions are also to be provided, and it's a very rich program. And so today's theme is the power of DX change with technology today and tomorrow. And this is a timetable. Until 11:25, it's going to be the keynote presentations, and after 11:30, the partner companies, together with yourselves and SoftBank, SBCNS, will be having these breakout sessions. After this, Mr. Masayoshi Son, CEO of the group, will be making a presentation. After that, the corporate CEO, Ken Miyauchi, will be giving a presentation with the title Power DX with the Strongest Synergy. Now, these are all going to be very important and precise program, so hope you can enjoy them. Let us start with the SoftBank World 2021.
Hello, everybody. My name is Son of SoftBank Group. Looking forward to speaking to you. This SoftBank World takes place annually. But last year and this year, because of the COVID-19, we are holding this event online. So as I make the presentation, I hope we can communicate as well as on the real sessions. The Tesla, led by Mr. Elon Musk, has announced a human-type robot. It is 173 meters high and weighs 57 kilograms and can fast a little bit faster than Japanese, 8 kilometers per hour. And it can carry a cargo of object of about 20 kilograms, lifted up and carried around as well. Really looks sharp. And next year, they're expecting to announce a prototype as a robot fan. I am very much looking forward to it. And humanoid world age is about to start. That's how I felt by this announcement. So this kind of good-looking humanoid on market, the relationship between the robots and people is about to change, I believe. As a robot fan, I must say, SoftBank, you may know that we were doing robots as well with Pepper. We had a grandiose debut event of Pepper several years ago. Now it is hanging its head low, and it's difficult to come up with the new product. But these robots, robot is today's topic of my presentation. And it turns out this robot world has a lot to do with the Japanese growth strategy. It could be the key for Japanese growth. Japan is number one. During the 1980s, we heard this expression. And back then, Japan was shining with glory. And Mr. Morita of Sony and Mr. Ishihara wrote books on these topics. Japan leads the world with technology, and GDP was growing so rapid. And we may catch up, overtake US, and may become number one in the world. And the book was published around that time. And many Japanese were excited to hear that. And Japan may be leading the global economy. Cars, electronics, and semiconductors, different technologies came from Japan. And Japan was ranked number one in its competitiveness by many surveys. For 10 years after the book was published, as Japan is number one, and Japan did have the number one position in the competitiveness ranking. But after that, we went down to number 2, 3, 4, and before we know, our competitiveness is now very low. The Japanese GDP used to be number 2 after US, but now China overtook us, and now we are number 3. But with low competitiveness, that means GDP is expected to come down, and the ranking will also come down. That's how I look at it and see a crisis for Japan. And as I said, GDP, US remains number one. In fact, it is further growing, accelerating. And meanwhile, Japan stagnated and China overtook us very quickly. What is competitiveness? Simply speaking, it is the product or multiplication of the working population and the per capita, per person productivity. And that's it. The multiplication of these two factors, working population and productivity. And the Japanese working population is shrinking. And it may be cut back to about half of what Japan had in the past in future. And in terms of the personal productivity, it also remains rather low. And as the working population shrinks and the productivity also lags, that means a very worrisome future for Japan. High-tech adoption in Japan, Japanese companies. If you look at the AI technology, the US companies, 35% uses it, and while only 24% by Japanese companies, according to the survey by Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communication. And I feel it may be even lower. And when it comes to robots and IoT, you can see in these two leading-edge technology areas, Japanese companies' adoption rates are lower than the U.S. And as I said, competitiveness is the product of the population, working population, and productivity. And you cannot expect the working population to grow. You can't increase the Japanese population, and productivity remains low as well. Does that mean Japan is bound to flop or deteriorate? And many people say that but we can be very small and beautiful and can be a good tourist destination, and that's important. But we need to have more than just good old days only and a good history only. And we want to keep a beautiful culture, but also want to see the recovery of Japanese competitiveness and the recovery of Japanese economy as well. Otherwise, people's life would not be enriched. And what is the key for that recovery, rebound? And that is smart robot, or sumabo in Japanese. That's a new word I created. Smart robot, sumabo in Japanese. And so it stands for smart robot, sumabo. And in the Japanese mobile communication area, we have dumb phones, or Japanese called Galapagos Keitai. And then working with Steve Jobs, we introduced the smartphones to the Japanese market. And when the iPhone was debuted, many Japanese telecommunication companies leaders said, you can't sell iPhones. I asked, why not? And they said, well, they don't have the wallet function. And one seg television broadcasting viewing capability is lacking. So you can't sell that kind of phones in Japan without having those very niche Japanese leading technologies. And that was the situation back then. But I told Steve back then, before we announced the iPhone in Japan, I haven't even seen the prototype. He kept the secret. He told me, Masa, when I show you the prototype, you're going to wet your pants. He told me. I did not wet my pants, but I could feel both my knees shaking with the impact, emotional impact I felt back then.
So people may have said that it's not going to be trendy in Japan, but I actually felt my knees shaking. And there were people also feeling the same way. So I think there were two categories of people. But all the people's life, with this single product coming out from Steve, has become something indispensable to human life. Now, from the dumb phone era to smartphone era, it was just an instance that it changed. Now, Japan used to be a robot country. There were so many robots active in various areas, like in the automobile manufacturing sites. It was the world's #1 producer of robots. But I really think this is also a garabo, or dumb robot, because it's similar, or the significance is the same as this dumb phone. As the smartphones has changed everything in an instance. Now the smart robots are now going to change everything in a single instance. Smart robots. I abbreviate it as smabo, but what's the difference there? So garabo or the dumb robot has to be programmed by people or human, and they have different specific words assigned, and they will be accurately screwing in these pins as was assigned, and they had to assign a particular place, a particular work, and such programs were written or created, configured by people. So it was a must that sometimes people were referred to as being machine-like or robot-like. So they are people who can work precisely and accurately. So robots, the old type robots were also like that. But now the new era, the robots are going to be learning on their own through AI. So they will observe the behavior, action, they will learn it, and they can flexibly adjust to the necessary activity or the behavior. And you don't have to be concise and detailed in the configuration or the architecture of the plans or the program. It can be adjusted to anywhere, any place. So smart robots or sumobo will probably be more smarter and flexible. So they can be like humans. So maybe the position of the human in the robots may change or reverse. So that may be the new era that we might be facing from now on. So it wasn't just Pepper that we introduced, and we cannot just continue to bow down, but actually we have been engaged in many initiatives other than Pepper. And later on, I will introduce Boston Dynamics in humanoid type. That was the most advanced company probably is Boston Dynamics. That's at least what I think. And we are a collaborating partner with them. And Hyundai Motors, we also partnered with them as well. And it's going to be 80% of Boston Dynamics owner, and we will continue to have 20%. And SoftBank's Vision Fund, basically, it's rather than us operating, but we will promote the growth of the other companies and entrepreneurs. So that is the nature of that company. But I believe that Boston Dynamics is a superb company and wonderful company. And so let me show you this humanoid image of Boston Dynamics. I believe some of you may already be familiar with, but please watch. This is wonderful. How was it? Did you see it? You can't program every single move that they were doing. If you do it, you have to program to the single centimeters of their behavior, step one left, step two right, and so forth. So it's because of the AI that you can program, or they can actually behave even in the slanted position and jump and go over, run. So the position where they might land after jumping, so they will learn through AI. So at the working site, for instance, they are even more flexible, more safer than actual human or people carrying things or cleaning things. And I think that may be possible from now on in reality. So it's not only that humanoid type. There are another latest type that was introduced. From the truck, you can see carton boxes that they are carrying it to the, or transporting it to the belt conveyor. And this was great burden on people, but now this is the new way introduced by Boston Dynamics to load cargoes. So they will learn through AI, and they can do this sequentially, accurately, pick it up, and place it to a different place. So this is the kind of work that they can actually conduct and execute. The height, the size, the position, or the location are all different, but they can judge appropriately by observing it. And the arm, the position of the arms, or the width, or the height will change by their own judgment. It's not programmed by people. They will observe it through the camera, and they will judge it, the size, the height, and the shape will be observed, and then they will absorb it. Like the respective boxes may be different, because once you pick up one box, then the height is going to be different. So like the garabo or the dumb phone, you don't have to program each individual positions. AI learns them, and they can move very flexibly according to the circumstances and environment. So that's the definite difference from AI or smart robots and dumb robots, or the obsolete type of the robots. So SoftBank will be engaged in robotics and the other sophisticated technologies in 2014. But I told you that once there are 30 million robots introduced, then it will be equivalent to the labor force of 100 million. So that was the plan or the project that I introduced at that time. But at that time, even people say AI, deep learning was not a technology that has been well penetrated.
So now these technologies have advanced so much and now put into practices. I think it was about the time that the dumb robots about to turn into smarter robots. And SoftBank and Masayoshi Son have never manufactured anything. And that's a criticism I often receive. But if I excel at anything, that is to read the trend of the society and the world a little bit faster than others and more accurately. And that's where I think I'm very good at all along. So it used to be that the fixed telephone lines world, I said the future will be in the mobile communications. And PCs will be connected to the internet, and telecommunication will be from fixed to mobile, change to the mobile. And also, not just the voice communication, but the internet connection will be the biggest role the smartphone will have. And those, the kind of things I saw and took early player action, early mover actions. And as the robot age comes and AI age comes, and if we multiply, that means smart robots age will be coming. And that's what I started to think in 2014, and now we are saying that it's not simply robots, smart robots. They will replace not just the manufacturing industrial working population, but the entire working population. So Smart or smart robots version of my future is what I'm presenting. Now, human beings work about 8 hours a day, but smart robots can work 24 hours without complaining, and including weekends as well. So instead of 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, it can work 24 hours and 7 days a week. So it's not just the 3 times, but it's almost close to almost 5 times the working hours if we include the weekends. And also by applying AI, not just simple productivity growth, smart robots can improve the productivity compared to the person 3.5 times. So if we multiply the time and the productivity 3 or 5 times times the 3.5 times productivity with the use of AI, that means 10 times the competitiveness compared to the one person. So one smart robot is worth the 10 people's work. And without having to program each time for specific work, as we saw the Boston Dynamics humanoid robots working, it can run on the slanted surface and the backflip as well. And average people can't do that. So smart robots' actions can surpass the precision and the agility of humans eventually. Now, if we have 100 million smart robots, that's worth the 1 billion working population. Japanese working population is about 50 million, so that's 20 times more than that. So we have 100 million people living in Japan, and if we have the same number of smart robots, it can worth with the, for Japan, with the 50 million actual working population, it can worth the 1 billion working persons. And how much it costs, I'm not sure how much, what price tag Tesla robots have. For information, Pepper robots are priced at 200,000 yen. It can just greet and also have very simple interactions and for reception functions. And that's the extent Pepper can do. But and I hope to continue to push that as well. And I don't think robots have to have always 2 legs, 2 arms, and walk at 8 kilometers per hour. Or humanoid robots can do anything, everything efficiently. And if it can be more affordable with without 2 legs, or maybe 4 arms or 8 arms. If it is optimized for the purpose, such smart robots can meet our purpose. And us at the SoftBank are hoping to contribute, make a lot of contributions in the age of smart robots. And as I mentioned briefly, what is the SoftBank Group? We just investors, and some people say they like Son as a business person, but not as investors. I do not consider as a simple investors. I want to become a true sense of capitalist, which can create a new age, open up the new age. And Rothschild was the capitalist in the same sense at the time of the Industrial Revolution. But for Information Revolution age, SoftBank want to take that position. And that's what I personally hope. And that's my dream. And so the capitalists in the age of information revolution, what's the difference between the investors and capitalists? Investors make money, but the capitalists make or create the future. And AI, which is the leading technology in the information revolution, and amongst the AI the AI companies not gone public yet, so-called unicorn AI ventures, and we as SoftBank are providing a lot of support of the all AI companies not gone public. 10% have been the recipient of our financing, and that's number 1, number 2 companies and other funds. I think we are several times more compared with the other investors or financiers. And in terms of our investment in the AI companies, or not gone public yet. And now more than 300 companies are the recipient of Vision Fund 1, 2, and Latin America Fund, or LATAM Fund. And roughly 100 unicorns in AI field are receiving our fund, so that we can share the vision these entrepreneurs have, and we take the risk in terms of the financing, so that we can work together with them to create the future, open up the future. Now, our initial engagement with the robots was with Pepper at SoftBank, but not limiting to that. With the SoftBank Robotics and Boston Dynamics, Agile Robots, and Open Torrents, and AutoStore are some of the robotics companies, altogether 18 we have worked with. So let me share some of these.
So let me deep dive in introducing some of the companies. So let's start with the manufacturing industry. So using AI, you will design and plan, and you will automatically produce through smart robots. And they will be flexible in their decision making, because the manufacturing line will change every moment. And so you need to create this new manufacturing lines continuously, and it will automatically be transported. So this is the manufacturing world. And we wanted to contribute this through smart robots. So one of the one of the company we have invested is Agile Robots. So using smart robots, they are contributing to the high-tech industry or manufacturing.
ちょっとビデオを見ていただきたいというふうに思います。
This is collision detection. And with this sharp needle, for instance, like the robot, without any programming, the force could not be controlled and it could penetrate or thrust through. But now you can even stop it with a sheet of paper. They will detect this contact and they can detect the collisions. And they can feel the sense, and they can judge in an instance to suspend their movement and behavior, and therefore nothing will be broken. So they won't even break a balloon. Conventional robots were not possible to do that. You need to program to avoid any kind of collision or damage or accidents, human-related accidents too. So with the new robots, they will detect any kind of obstacles or thing in front of you, and it will stop its movement to avoid any kind of collision. So like iPhone manufacturing sites, you will need to seal things or you will have to embed the printing substrates. So a very precise force where it has to be attached will be sensed and detected and be controlled. So the manufacturing line is introducing new lines every time continuously, but you don't have to program every time for the new respective lines, smartphones, PCs, cars. So this high-tech manufacturing lines, whatever that was done by human or people, now smart robots can be used to do these accurate and precise work. So compared to these dumb robots, it took like 24 hours, but now it's like 4 hours. And also the yield rate is about half, or shelved half. So it's really smart robots, or smable. And so this is made possible through that. So you don't have to program every time for a particular behavior or action, because it's going to take 2 weeks to just program that. But with this smart robots, or smable, once you learn it, then the sensitive adjustment can be done autonomously. There is nothing that is going to be overdone, because it will judge on its own. Because once this manufacturing line starts moving, there will always be some adjustment required, but it can do it. Now, logistics. This is in a different aspect that smart robots may be very active. So Vision Fund has become the largest investor for Auto Store. This is also growing so rapidly. It's exceeding the initial budget. It's overachieving every time. And right now, the order placement is just so outstandingly increasing. So conventionally, everything had to be put into a shelf where people can actually reach. But for robots, that's irrelevant. You don't have to have this bookshelf type inventory, you don't have to have a corridor necessary to walk through. So, auto store, you don't need to have any waste space. So it can all be turned into an inventory space where you can store things. So the conventional space can be utilized 3 or 4 times more. And so all of these are controlled but wireless, and it will pick up the object to where it has to be handled. So it's going to be very efficient, and the replenishment will also be very fast. And the shape of the building is not in question. The shape can be anything, like this. Stop warehousing. Start warehousing. AutoStore. This is really superb. They have a load of orders coming in, and they can cut costs, they can be more accurate, and they can be more efficient in terms of using the space. Everything is judged by AI. So two-dimensional, it's not just that the robots will be moved two-dimensionally, but it can move three-dimensional as well. They can pick up things from above with a beam. There is so whatever inventory that may be in the box, it could be picked up or grabbed from above. So anything that may be shipped frequently will be placed in the upper area, but everything is going to be judged where it should be placed by AI. So the frequently shipped out objects or products will be placed in the upper shelf or upper location, and thereby gaining more efficiency, and they can pick up the necessary objects or the product. So the number of picking has become 3 times, and the shipment volume has also increased, and the cost was reduced to 50% of the conventional level. And so companies worldwide are now trying to implement or introduce AutoStore. Now, bringing things in the box and pack it, that work was done by people. The last picking motion or the action were done. But Berkshire Gray has introduced AI to learn it and do it. So it could be slanted, it could be, the material could be different, it could be plastic, it could be paper. They will judge, but they can pick it and replace it in a different box, for instance. So Berkshire Gray is another company that the Vision Fund is also investing in or supporting.
The last picking with vinyl plastic bags, and also the boxes are not positioned squarely in the bin, and they can be reached and sucked up. And even the cucumber, something like cucumber, it's not positioned initially in orderly manner, but can still pick it up accurately and more speedily as well. And using AI, the instantaneous detection of the objects and sucked up with vacuum and different geometry cups or grip cups, depending on what's to be picked up. The size of the grip can be changed flexibly and replacing
グリップすると、そういうようなことも
to
して
the with the appropriate
ディープラーニングで
cup.
それぞれピ
With
ッ
the
キング
deep
するものの
learning,
形状
the
とか形とかをディ
geometry and
ープラーニング
shapes
します
of
でそれをどんどんデー
objects
タ
to
ベー
be
ス化
picked
し
up,
て
and
2回目
it's
3回目
been
4
put
回目
into
になると
database,
より効
and
率よ
second
くよ
time
り
and third
正
time
確に
around, more
ピッキングで
efficiently
きる
and more accurately,
ということ
the
ですね
picking can be performed.
こういうようなことが
And that's probably the leading edge technology is provided by Berkshire Grey.
ですから先ほど
So
オー
if
ト
we
ストア
combine
と
the
バークシャーグレーを
AutoStore and
両方
Berkshire
インテグ
Grey,
レーションすればも
and
う
you
世界
there
最
you
強の
have the
倉庫システムが
best
できると
world's best warehouse system. So unloading time has been cut by 90%, and labor costs being cut by 70%, and the warehouse area space is cut by 35%. And next in the health service, once again, smart robots is expected to play a major role. AI will be used for diagnosis and putting together the treatment plan. And smart robots will support the operation or surgery operation as well. Let's take a look at the CMR Surgical's video.
ロボットアームですねより正確
has
にこれミスしたら大変な
have a
人命
very
に関わるんで
precise
すね
and
より
accurate
正確に
operation,
ですね
like
針の
putting
糸
thread
を通して
into a needle hole
というようなところまで
and carry out the suture
できると
and incision and
カッ
puncture,
トして
treat and suture.
治療して
Whole
縫うと
operational
いう
process
作業まで
can be conducted by smart robots.
まあ先ほど
So, as I said earlier,
スマ
smart
ホというのは
robots
必ずしも日本の
do
腕
not
日本の
necessarily have to
や
have
る必要は僕はないと思うんですね
have to be two-legged, two-armed with two arms, and they can have a 3, 4, 5 arms.
従来の
And
手術
traditionally,
例えば
open
回
surgery,
復ですね
abdominal
お腹を切
open
ってあげる
surgery,
この切開部分はどうしても
will
人間
leave
だと大き
a
くなる
very
し手術の難易
large
度も
scar
難しい
and
それ
also
に対
very
して
difficult
腹
operation.
腔でですね
But laparoscope
ちょんと穴を開けて
operation,
で
and
これも人間
with
が
a
やってるん
very
ですけど
small
腹
incision,
腔でやると
but
切
the
開部
very
分が小
difficult.
さい手術の
And
難易度は
after
高い
the
けれども
surgery,
術後が
because
です
the
ね
incision is
バ
very
ーッと腹を
small,
切腹するんじゃなくて
the
穴を
recovery
ちょっと
after
開
the
けるだけです
operation
から
is very
術
fast
後のですね回復度
because
合い人間に対する負荷が小さ
of
く
much
て
smaller
回復が
impact
よ
on
り
the human
早い
body.
というよ
But
り安全だという
operational
ふうに
difficulty
し
is
かし
very high.
難易度はですね
Now, if we
やっぱりこれ
use
非常に
smart
難しいわけです
robots
ね。それに対し
using
てスマホ
laparoscope,
による
it can
腹腔
still take
手術
advantage
ですね
of small
切開部
incision,
分が小さいだけではなく
but
て
the
手術の難易度が
for
ですね人間にと
humans
ってよ
it's
り
much easier
優しくよ
to
り
have that
確実
operation
に
and gentler on human bodies
熟
without
練した
needing a
ド
very
クターでな
experienced
くても
doctor.
ですね
Young
若いドクター
doctor
がよ
can
り確実に安全に
run this
正確に
very
この手術ができるということ
sure operation
より安価で
and
より
with
最
much
先
lower
端で
cost.
ということで今非常
So
に期
there's
待
a
されている
lot of expectation for this
ロボットがこの
surgical robots.
であります。
smaller
より小型でですから
and you don't have
そんなに
to
どでかい病院
you
じゃな
don't-
くてもですね
even the medium scale hospital or small scale hospitals can afford such compact system. So it is getting a lot of attention, CMR Surgical. And Vision Fund is participating in their venture business. The complication has been reduced by half, and infections being cut by 60%, and hospitalization period is reduced by 70%. That means lower cost as well. In Japan, there is insurance that can pay, but the insurance cost can be cut back. In Japan, large portion of the Japanese government fiscal budget is occupied by the health insurance. So that is going to become even more important in the future. And so that's with this kind of system and technology, you can reduce the cost and with lower complication and infections, and safer and lower impact on patients, and lower load, financial load on the central government budget as well. And that means we want to introduce that very quickly. Next, retail and services. AI will be used for demand forecast. Depending on the climate, day of the week, and day of the month, and some of the events taking place, and some of the emergency declaration taking place or not, and demand is forecast and predicted, and then the reception services and waiting and even cleaning can be carried out by smart robots and AI. Once again, a lot of times robots do not have to be two-legged and two-armed, and also AI payment as well too. Next, I'd like to introduce the Keynote. It doesn't have two arms.
Today, as a pioneer in the service robot industry, Keynote has brought such reality into restaurants, hotels, and beyond. At Keynote, we offer various autonomous catering robots of different sizes and functionalities that can work either independently or cooperate along with humans to efficiently serve guests. Our robots are made possible by independent R&D of indoor autonomous driving technologies, leveraging SLAM technology with multiple perceptions including LiDAR, monocular vision, and depth vision. Our robots can autonomously navigate through complex and crowded environments. Our machine learning algorithm enables object identification and dynamic route planning, allowing our robots to move efficiently and safely in complex and crowded environments. Today, we have more than 20,000 deployed robots around the world that are feeding real-world data to help us further improve our algorithm. Please remember the surprise when you are served by our robots for the first time. As soon, they will become common in your life.
So this Kion restaurant catering robot, it's autonomously driven. There is no, if the child rushes out, you can't afford to crash into him or her. And you can't expect to program such avoidance mechanically. It's not possible, feasible in a very crowded restaurant. If somebody jumps in front of you, the robot, even the human waiters can collide with other person with only like 2 dishes per hand, and maybe acrobatic carrying of dishes. You don't have to do that. If you have a number of shelves on the robot, and 10-20 dishes can be placed, and the cost, instead of paying humans only 20,000-30,000 yen or 40,000-50,000 yen per month for subscription fee, depending on the model. If it's several tens of thousands of yen, it's cheaper than the part-time workers' labor cost.
And it can work 365 days a year, and it can work 24 hours or round the clock. And actually they are selling well, because once you adopt this robot, they walk or move around with a sample and then sample dishes, and then if you see it, you're attracted and you want to start eating it. So there are robots that will carry around the sample dishes, and you can also get nice and warm dishes with this robot. So it's not just reducing the labor cost, but actually you can grow the sales as well. So this inexpensive robot, safe and with safe operation, automated operation, it's already adopted and working in reality. So rather than a single type of robot working for every environment and every requirement, but this is a type where you will have a single object to work, and that robot will be serving that purpose. So the subscription fee is going to be like a few tens of thousands of yen, but you can see that the monthly cost is going to be reduced, as you can see in the 1/3, and also the served dishes is going to be 1.4 times the people service. So I believe that this is going to expand so rapidly. So, and now let's go into smart robots and cleaning. This is also growing so fast.
Technological upgrades
Gaussian
a
robotics.
revolution in the cleaning industry that has remained untouched for thousands of years. Whether it is at schools or hospitals, at stadiums or transportation hubs, at office buildings or commercial premises, at parking lots or municipal roadways, be ready to come across a GS robot in a random corner of the place. 100 square kilometers map construction, real-time dynamic path planning, advanced operation perception, edge-to-edge cleaning, and agile rotational turning. Built upon ALOT and cloud integration technologies, GS robots are here to provide you with a brand new experience of cleaning operations and facility management. Today, GS robots' footprints have spread throughout 43 countries and regions across 6 continents, amounting to 150 million kilometers in the cleaning tracks. Now, over 2,000 customers from around the world are witnessing GS technologies driving the industrial transformation of cleaning from automation to intelligence.
So this is for industry, GS robotics. So all of these, or cleaning, this is all automatically operated, and they deep learn autonomously, and they don't have to fight with a cat, and they can just go around that cat, so they can avoid any kind of obstacle in front of them. It's a highly accurate sensor is equipped, and they can be very efficient. So they can have a fixed type of cleaning method with a fixed line. But in the case of GS robotics, through the camera eyes, they will recognize the dirt that has to be put away, and they will go there with a priority to clean it. So they will get the most optimal route to where it has to pick up things or where the dirts are. So it could be like 3 routes instead of having multiple routes. So in the case of time restriction is there, or in the case of where the space is wider, it can be made very efficient or programmed very efficient. Or let's say that there say that somewhere was so dirty and it has to be concentrating on the cleaning. So you can first have a rough cleaning and then have a precise cleaning step later on. So you can first concentrate on a particular place where it's so dirty, and then they can also start cleaning the less dirty places. So the AI recognizes they will come up with a strategy and conduct a cleaning work with some tactics. So that's a smart robot. And so the area productivity in terms of the cleaning, they have been able to widen the space 3 times, and the cost was reduced by 20%. And now, next, it doesn't have to be metal color or metallic color that the smart robots have to be. It could also be transparent, for instance, like the clerical work or administration, white collar robots. So digital robots can do the white collar work. So this kind of smart robots can also be introduced. So AI will recognize the issues and the problem, and the operation will be automated and made efficient. And also the robots can do the routine work. And then people or human will be liberated from all these routine work, clerical work. And then people can shift and concentrate on work that human can actually be excited and be interested and attracted. So people or human can be liberated from the boring work or boresome. So this is another company that I'd like to introduce. This is Automation Anywhere. So people can be creative, designing, planning, sales and marketing, communication. So I really think that people should be concentrating on those areas more. So automation will bring renovation. So just with a few clicks, you will be able to configure a bot, and then you can start automating. And that's all. It's just a few minutes that you can create digital bots. And this kind of routine work, from the beginning to the end, can be done immediately. So this is the RPA symbolic work, Automation Anywhere. So those white-collar workers, most of the works are, it's really working in front of the PC, you type in. Maybe that's maybe 1/3 or 50% of all your work. It's like routine work that you start typing in front of the PC. So I believe there are a lot of white-collar workers like that. Maybe like 1/3 of the people are just typing in front of the PCs. So if we let the robots do that, we can be more creative, we can persuade people, we can think of the new design, or maybe engage in sales and marketing. You can be working on something that has more added value. So the white-collar work can be probably taken over by smart robots. It will be automated. The error will be reduced. The work process will be shrinked. SoftBank already. The digital workers are already on work every day for the work worth of few thousand people. So that's our company.
So I hope that many of our customers also experience the same benefits and the excitement as well. Amongst the U.S. companies, if we ask, about 80 to 90% of the top 10 companies in each industry sectors have introduced automation anywhere already. So 80 to 90% of top 10 companies are taking advantage of the work of these digital bots carrying out routine works. And no wonder U.S. is improving its productivity because they make use of this kind of technology. And in our Vision Fund, SoftBank supports 18 smart robot companies, and we participate in their business as capitalists and being fully engaged in this area. And we put together a short clip video. So for delivery robots, Neuro, and robotaxi, Cruise is the technology. Aurora, autonomous driving. Aurora is supplied to Uber technology, and also for agricultural farming drones, for seeding and fertilizing, can be carried out very efficiently and very inexpensively and accurately as well. And EDA, brain surgery, can be carried out, and open trons, corona experiments, a lot of experiments can be carried out by robots, and trucks can control and manage the inventory, and also on the shelf management as well too, and brain for autonomous cleaning robots. That's a US company, and SoftBank Robotics has Wiz. That's for very narrow and crowded office. It can carry out the cleaning. And this is Servi does the catering or food delivery in restaurants, and it's been used in Japanese restaurants. So Gaussian, or Gaussian rather, and AutoStore are some of the services SoftBank is about to distribute in Japan, and discussion is going on at the moment. And so the SoftBank group is a group with a leading edge smart robot companies, and we are kind of a group strategy of these different companies. Probably 18 smart robot companies is unprecedented, and autonomous driving, cleaning, and warehouse management covered by this group. As I mentioned briefly, SoftBank Robotics, AutoStore, Berkshire Gray's picking, and the Keynote catering, and Gaussian cleaning capabilities. These services will be provided by SoftBank Robotics in the near future, and I hope you will become users of these. And these 18 companies can help Japanese companies in one way or another, and they will be coming to Japanese market, and SoftBank Robotics will be the partner for that introduction. And we have corporate sales group led by Imai-san will be introducing these services and technologies to you for wide adoption. Let me conclude. I talked about a lot of things. The key for the Japanese revitalization and recovery is smart robots, or SMABO. And I think I coined this word, and I want to brainwash you by repeating that expression so many times, from garabo or dumb phones to smartphones or SMABO. Goodbye to dumb phones and hello to smart robots.
これから新しいスマホの時代が来るというふうに思っております。もし日本にスマホがですね、
Japan can have 100 million smart robots, including digital robots, including bots for white collar workers. That is worth the 1 billion working population. The paper with its head low, it can cheer you. How is it? SoftBank's Pepper is not always having his head hanging low. We want to cheer the whole Japan so we can together bring the shining and brilliant future for Japan. That's my earnest hope. And I think we have a chance. I don't think we need to give up. With zeal and strong commitment, I think we can open our path for us. At least SoftBank Group is committed to the AI and information revolution, and we want to run the front line working with you. So we want to bring the happiness to people with information revolution and want to make many people happy. And so whole SoftBank Group will be working very hard and looking forward to work with you.